to the town hall. Let's go. So we've structured this call to build off of the governance proposals that have passed since we last met. So I guess we'll just start by covering all of the recent developments. So we'll cover Ethos V2, Aurelius. We have some marketing and KOL discussions, and then an update on tokenomics. So clicking over to Ethos. Since we last met, there's obviously been two separate launches of Ethos. There was an Ethos V2 and then a V2.1. Due to a mishap in configuration, we needed to relaunch 2.1, but we're pretty happy with its state, and we aren't intending on any more migrations for the foreseeable future. Ethos V2.1 brings a lot of functionality and controls to the protocol that previously were unavailable in Ethos V1, including the ability to add new collateral types. So wrap staked ETH has been added to Ethos V2.1, and currently there's a proposal that's met quorum for staked frax ETH to also be integrated into the platform, which is quite exciting. Obviously, seeing a huge amount of positive sentiment around these additions of collaterals, diversifying Ethos's capabilities, and tapping into liquid stake derivatives. We're still maintaining the most competitive collateral ratios in the space. We think this is due to, well, just by having a healthy total collateral ratio, we're able to sort of stretch the minimum collateral ratio that individuals can take on even further, and still have the system able to liquidate effectively. It's been quite a recent test for ERN, which obviously was trading at $1.04 since its launch due to the yield premium, and then as everyone levered up and sold their earn for more tokens, the price has come down, and we've now seen the redemption module of Ethos get more hardened as more users and more opportunistic coders take advantage of any gains and help keep earn at its relatively I don't want to say it's stable, but relatively around $1. And it's starting to build resilience, and I hope everyone's starting to feel some confidence. I'm sure it would have been a little uncomfortable to see earn at 97 cents, but this is how all of these protocols actually are born into existence, is periods of stress, which then compress into confidence as the system demonstrates that it's capable of contracting and expanding to keep ERN around $1. Maybe Justin, do you want to speak to this slide a bit more, or Charles?
Can I jump in and just okay? I'm gonna jump in and tell Samson to go full screen again, but it's not really a big deal. But I can see your tabs.
My bad.
You're naked.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
JB.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So in terms of the positioning of Ethos Reserve right now, I think we're coming to a point where feature-wise, in terms of like user-facing features, we're finally at par with the market, which is something we weren't quite ready to be last April. With LSTs and even we're in a position to capture some LRT market share if we so choose. But in terms of the kind of back-end features being the features that actually make Ethos Reserve sustainable, we're kind of leagues ahead. So we're at a point where we're trying to catch the user-facing feature setup, and quite frankly, it's a much easier proposition than kind of Ethos' current differentiator. So yeah, I mean it's been kind of exciting to see all of our theses being tested in real time. And we have, over this period where ERN has floated around 97, 98 cents post-Raft exploit. If you remember the incident of the Raft exploit that scared a bunch of DeFi users out of decentralized stablecoins, We have since onboarded a ton of traders who are redeeming, trading ERN below peg, and this sort of battle testing, as we push through more and more cycles like this, where ERN floats above and then below peg, it's just going to attract a lot of stablecoin traders, which is exciting. And the rest is really up to building up more long interest to match the short interest being built up by wrap staked ETH, soon to be staked Frax ETH. So I would say overall our positioning right now is good, and it will continue to get better. It's kind of like, we did all the hard stuff first, so now we can kind of accelerate through our roadmap and knock out all of the things that position us a little better compared to competition.
I'm super excited for these. I mean, Wrap Staked ETH has been on there, and I've been taking advantage. And getting Staked Frax ETH on there is just like so awesome. And I'm really excited to hopefully some marketees from buy-in on the social side from Lido and from Frax, and try and connect our communities more. Because obviously they're very big protocols. They have very big communities. So it's an extremely good opportunity to be able to show ethos to these different communities and to hundreds and thousands of new people. So let's go. That vote, the Stake Frax ETH, I was literally like going to get my wallet, and I like come back and sit down, and it's like already passed. It's like, no. Yeah. I was really excited.
I hope we
to
have
vote
a governance
on it,
slide so we can talk about the like industry leading success of our governance right now. And I know we're operating at kind of an intimate scale, but I've been super impressed. If you're a governor in the call right now or listening after the fact, you're doing a good job. All of our metrics are popping off right now. But go ahead, UV.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Slide. Yeah.
I'm just a bit about redemptions next, I think.
Sure, yeah. I'll kind of blaze through that. If you haven't seen the analytics page on Ethos Reserve, you should check it out. It's pretty fun. I guess that's the long and short of it. But yeah, we're going to continue to enhance the ease of use for redemptions, so we're not as reliant on people running their bots being online or being at home or what have you.
Well, after Ethos,
Aurelius.
We have Aurelius. Yeah.
Yeah, guys. For those who don't know, we
exciting.
have. I can fill people in on this. We have a very strong partnership with Clio. We have a Mantle grant, which we are working with Clio to bolster and provide liquidity while we finish off the Aurelius deployment. We are tentatively aiming for next week's rollover to have Aurelius live by then. I was hoping to do it this week, but there's some kind of like peripheral changes that need to be made to not the core contracts, but just to some of the integration contracts, just to suit the Mantle ecosystem and to actually integrate with Clio better. So we just need a few extra days for that, and then some internal beta testing. So we're going to try and hit the next rollover next week, basically start of the new month. Hopefully have Aurelius live, have some liquidity positions available, some pools pumping some Clio yield. The AU token will follow shortly after, probably a couple of weeks after, just while we finalize those contracts separately. The focus has been on Aurelius and on the core architecture required to sustain the protocol. So the AU token will come shortly after, and we'll see some love come back to the BOth stakers. And guys, this is our first chapter. This is setting the scene for all of our future chapters. We are being very vigilant about how we deploy Aurelius, and we are taking notes on all the efficiencies that can be had to make subsequent chapters faster, smoother, make the deployments easier. And we're basically going to aim to shorten the process with every cycle in the safest and most efficient way possible. And hopefully Zokanai doesn't jump ship because we are just whipping him.
Yeah. I mean, I think, a lot of the work leading up to Aurelius has been work not in producing Aurelius, but more so work in ensuring that every deployment of chapters can happen really reliably and with great regularity. And, we're kind of accelerating to a point where we may be seeing chapters as often as once every month or two. And we're getting so much interest that our goal right now is to, I mean, quite honestly, keep pumping the brakes, ensuring that, we can source enough demand and do enough socialization of each chapter, secure the grants, whatever, beforehand. But kind of, the other edge to that is every success we have with chapters is a case study for a future chapter, which increases kind of the ticket size, it increases the demand, it increases our ability to secure grants, and do cool stuff on that front. So, Aurelius, we really, really want to be successful, because, each of these case studies will just improve the success of each following chapter. So definitely, if you're not in the Aurelius Discord, get in there. It's going to be a huge incentive driver to bonded oath and the oath ecosystem. So, frankly, be excited. And, the amount of chapters in the pipeline right now is quite a few. And, as the negotiations for grants and as the negotiations for partnerships and things like that continue on, pointing to Aurelius and saying, "Yo, look at how we're doing over here," is just the absolute strongest business driver and business case. So super duper exciting on that front.
Yeah. The partnership with Mantle, with Mantle as well, but with Cleopatra is, I just want to hammer that point home because, like, I don't know if you guys have been on Mantle yet, but I've been farming Clio. I've been using Clio, and it's just like it's so efficient and it's so powerful. And like I've hardly been this successful with like LPing before, because their decks work so well. And not to throw any shade, but from what I've seen from the other decks on Mantle, like Clio, in my opinion, is the clear winner. And just having them being so tight with Aurelius is such a huge win. Like, it's going to be so easy to make moves and so easy to like get things done and like just drive tons of liquidity and be really efficient. So that's like the biggest win in my opinion. Anyways,
We're positioned right now to really dominate Clio in terms of incentives, in terms of yield, AUSD and AU. And we're going to be using AU and Cleopatra as a tool to onboard other communities like Frax, like Liquidity, all your favorites. So yeah, I mean, showing the energy for Clio and for Aurelius, I think is probably the best thing you can do as an Oath governor right now. And more like Oath and Ethos Reserve are going to become, just abstract value aggregators for all of the value we produce with these chapters. So definitely like think of these chapters as an extension of Oath, and their success is a success for Oath and just lets us shoot higher and higher. So yeah, and we're gonna really be serious about having Dex partners built into all of these efforts, which is quite exciting.
We'll move on. I just want to. There's been some comments that I want to address. That have come with some questions. First, there was a question about how the grant will be used. So, Justin, did you want to maybe explain the
Yeah.
dynamicism of like the grant and how sort of we can use it in different ways to get
Totally.
more adoption.
Yeah, we've got half in hand so far, and the other half will be coming after, frankly, some really easy KPIs are met. So probably in the next month. But the goal at the moment is just to provide liquidity, or what we're doing at the moment with the grant, because we got a green light from Mantle to do whatever. So we're LPing Clio, we're farming the hell out of Clio, we're building up a huge VE NFT. And it's boosted, and we're one of the top farmers of the Clio token at the moment, through our joint effort. And all of that is going to be poured into this AUSD push. And then we're also, of course, going to use the token to, LP for AU, and help secure partnerships. We're really trying to be creative and build up the grant as opposed to just kind of give it away as incentives. And the grant has actually grown quite a bit since we first started LPing, and we're going to keep going down this route and hopefully kind of be able to operate as our own whale to a certain extent. Being willing to kind of take on these asymmetric opportunities / risks that come with managing token economies and stuff like that. So very exciting. I mean, we're going to keep going down that route, and ideally we can just keep building up this position of VE Clio and keep farming AU and Clio pairs. So it's going to help de-risk the situation quite a bit, and it's going to be a really awesome tool as AU and Clio grow.
Yeah. And Cat Dad asking about, are there any other, partnerships in work? This is something that in the formation of Aurelius was explored, but the conclusion was that we think for the maximum bang for buck, we should just commit to just one exchange. And once the product is successful, it will permeate out as more and more of the network just adopts the AUSD or AU tokens. So the other layer to that is we can have a much deeper relationship with Ramses. I mean, we think this is a playbook that we can run many times over. They have their LGE for Linea starting tomorrow. I mean, they're just pumping these things out. It's pretty crazy. I mean, we can't even really keep up with their pace. We're trying to slow them down, frankly. But the combining forces into one mega unit, we think is a more attractive strategy than to scattershot and support many exchanges, because in the end, all of the exchanges will feel hard done by, no matter what. So we just are happy with the technology that Ramses is offering and think that it's a good place to start. So we're going to have exclusivity sort of on their product, and there's a lot of perks that come with that, like being able to embed the token more into their platform as an overall.
Yeah, we find that the way Ramses delivers incentives is so much more efficient than any other platform. And, this is a pattern that we can repeat all over the place. So Ramses is taking kind of a similar approach as we are. We kind of, convinced them that this was the way. Or we maybe came to conclusion at similar times last May. And we've really been working on kind of how can we take our chapters and how can we take their omni-chain efforts and kind of do like the Binance Tether thing, where we have like this super performant DEX that more and more kind of larger players and institutional players are getting comfortable with. And how can we pair that with our strategy, which is quite similar, being, how can we get these, liquid funds to deploy in our software and use our software. So, I mean, it's, there's going to be a lot of learning. And I think we found that having a native partner, your impact is so much higher, because DEXs are all competing to get yield providers and stable coins and whatnot using their platforms. And the amount of leverage we have is just enormous. I mean, if it becomes inefficient, then of course we'll think about alternatives. But right now, like working with them has been really amazing. So we'll see the Ramses Oath playbook run back on quite a few chapters.
And we'll cover more about the Ramses Oath playbook later. We do have a bit of a presentation about the VE NFT and the progress there. But the second and final thing on this before we move to tokenomics, I see a comment from Kevin Barker. When ByteMason DEX, I mean, the point of this is that we don't need to make one because Ramses had already made the DEX and it's very, very performant. We think the most performant on the market.
Yeah. Thena is another team that
Thena is another team, but speaking from experience of managing these things more intimately, the Ramses system is far more robust and complete and flexible in a way that I feel like we're blessed to be so aligned with like this team and their product. I feel like we're excelling at each of our own things and coming together. We're going to make the super protocol, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Leo and Ramses are the same product, Mr. Roy. They're just on different networks. Yeah. Okay, let's move over to the next thing. So tokenomics. Yeah, go ahead,
Nice.
or try this.
The
Tokenomics, let's
update.
go.
Charles, take it away.
Nice. VE NFTs. So here's a little table of our different VE NFTs and their size. Obviously, the value of them goes up and down with price. I think our VE RAM position was like over 300K at one point, which is nutty. But I was quickly updating the numbers before the town hall after this dump. But yeah, so we have a very good strategy with these VNFTs, and they've been just in this last like 2 months have been performing extremely well and have been giving us the ability to take Oath off the market and recycle a lot more bribes than previously. So and you can see at the bottom there ZK TBD. So when Zero launches, we will be getting a VE Zero position as well. So that's exciting. I'm pretty curious to see how ZK is going to go. But yeah, those are our V's. There's the voting power on the right hand side. UV, if you want to go to the next one. So the next slide, strategy. So we bribe the pools. Samson works some magic. He's nailed down the like maximizing votes to a science. I've started calling him VE Lord because he just like is very experienced voter at this point. Vote for max APR.
He has his own role.
He's got his own role in the Discord, exactly. You APR, you get all these bribes and all these fees from other pools. We swap it all to Oath, and then we're able to use that Oath to bribe again. It's very simple and it's very effective. And the bottom point is going to be shown in the next 2 slides. So, okay, so this is our output. So this is Q4. All of the numbers in the subsequent slides are Q4 numbers. So this is our Oath bribed per 2 weeks. So basically, each one of us represents 2 weeks. There's 6 of them. And so it's, it's up and down, and it kind of varies based on the week. Sometimes our OP grant is late, and we have to use Oath. And, it kind of fluctuates as we go along. But I will be working on, what I'd like to do is write a report for everybody, put this all in writing. I have some actual numbers at the end, but I would like to write a report for you all on like a Q4, like a financial report. I think I saw a question earlier today about it. So I would like to put this in writing and get you all an article on our progress and on our VE DEX sort of metrics. Okay, go to the next one. So this is the exciting one, in my opinion. So this, obviously, it's not going to be a straight line from here. But this is reclaimed oath in the last quarter. And you can see at the end, like our VE voting power is growing, and like as we get better and better at like maximizing our votes and maximizing sort of the amount of oath that we can buy back, it's been showing in the numbers, and I'm excited to put that down in writing because the amount of oath that we buy back every week just like gets me so excited. Whenever we do the swaps, it makes the multi-sig transactions a little bit less tedious. So yeah, obviously, it's not a straight line. Some high volume weeks are a lot better because the dexes do a lot more volume. But that number is going to keep going up, and we're going to be able to keep, pulling more and more oath off the market and using that for incentives. And our goal is obviously to eventually be deflationary. That's a huge challenge. But we'd like to get to net zero and then net, negative for oath emissions. Being able to buy back a ton of oath and just bribe with it. So yeah, I really like this graph. It made me very happy to see that. Okay, so I'm not sure what's on
Before
the
you move
next
on,
slide.
Charles, I guess I just want
Yeah,
to comment that
please.
most of that buyback activity is actually happening on Arbitrum and on Thena. Those are obviously the two largest VE NFT positions we have. As Charles mentioned, the Ramses one peaked at around $330,000 US. Each week, that's probably, when it was priced at that, it was pulling in about $3,000 a week. So you can imagine if Ramses can even double again, then Oath is in a fantastic position to absorb, Arbitrum trading volatility and network success with 1.2% of the entire, trading fee heading to our treasury, really, which we will then use to just purchase back Oath. So on BNB and Arbitrum, we're growing our Oath balances on the incentive wallet. Most of the spend is actually just on Optimism. And on Optimism, our strategy is to farm a velodrome position, which is, it's a more conservative, slower approach, but we think it's the right approach for building a position on velodrome. We are starting to claim back some of, that OP and oath that goes out every week, but it's not enough to, be at net zero. So we're trending the right direction. We just want you to see the progress and the opportunities that we've been gifted throughout 2023 to have these, pretty crazy market stimulants through the VE NFTs. So, lots of investment paying off, and we're starting to see the fruits of the long-term sort of thinking and strategy here coming in the 2020, 2021 period where, Oath missed out on accumulating curve or whatever. So if Ramses can have a similar sort of network appreciation or impact, Oath, with its close relationship, even if you think back to just the Cleo Aurelius conversation, we have opportunities to continue to add on more and more of these revenue streams and to move the burden of incentive away from the foundation and the Oath ecosystem and on to traders, as well as the products that we are creating. So hopefully a bit of extra color there for everyone.
I'd also like to
Nice.
touch on our emissions. So I think the paradigm that most people have seen in crypto is some kind of 4-year emission curve. And on occasion, we get asked for like our emissions curve, and we actually don't have one. And there's a very specific reason for that, which is the model that we've started implementing for our emissions is it's like a rolling stream. So instead of having a 4-year emission curve, we basically set the lifetime of our emissions to we started with 10 years. We've since dropped it to I think 6 years at the moment. But what happens is if we know how many oath tokens we have to emit over 6 years, and each week we can emit that weekly portion of the 6 years worth. And that week's worth, you can almost think of it as linear, but that week's worth goes towards wherever we need to build liquidity or have some kind of market impact. What happens after that is when we conduct our buybacks, the 6-year stream resets. And the effect that has is that at some point, if we had absolutely zero income whatsoever, we could maintain a level of emissions for 6 years. And that 6 years is rolling, which means that the emissions would decline such that we would be able to provide emissions infinitely, but obviously it would continue to decline without any income. So the end state is that there is no 4-year emissions curve. It's actually an infinite emissions cycle that will either be inflationary or deflationary depending on how much income the treasury generates. At this stage, it's through VNFTs, but we have the ability to pivot to whatever other revenue mechanism we need. So you won't see 100% of tokens go into circulation over 4 years. You will see very, very slow inflation, very, very deliberate inflation, and essentially an unlimited supply of emissions, because rather than spending more, we spend the same quantity and the value changes. So the more efficient we can be with it, the more the value goes up and the more the same quantity is worth.
Nice. Good points. I did not include a emission schedule info in the slides, but I wish I did, and maybe I will make one for the recording because I'm going to mash all these slides together with audio. So I could make one for the recording to fit over what you just said. But
the accounting for it, the accounting for the 6-year rolling emissions thing has been a little bit tricky to automate and to stay on top of, as you know. So we'll keep finding efficiencies and we'll keep getting better at it. And I guess eventually it will fit pretty well into your report. There's a question there from Zengel about the oath that we buy back. The overhead goes into some kind of lock state. It doesn't go into a lock state. So what happens is if we have let's say we have 1,000 oath, then over 6 years the maths would mean that we can emit like a certain amount in 1 week. So it just gets calculated as the weekly amount. We would emit that for the week, and then whatever the maths comes out to be, let's just say we emit like 10 oath during that week. So we have 990 left. At the end of the week, we then, whatever our VNFTs earn, we use that to buy back oath, and then maybe we have 999 oath. So we just redo that 6-year calculation, and then maybe we emit 9.99 oath instead of 10 oath. But at some point, we will end up with more than 1,000 oath, which will let us emit more oath, or the oath price might go up or down or whatever it needs to do. The point being is that if the oath price goes down, we don't compensate that by emitting more oath.
Mm-hmm. It's not based on a dollar amount. It's denominated in oath.
Correct. So the more oath it's worth, the more our emissions will be worth, but we let the market do what the market wants to do, and we control what we can control, which is just the quantity.
Yeah. And what will happen, market forces willing, is that, we'll be going along this, that will eventually just turn negative, and like the number of oath that we can emit will just start increasing. Thank you for that, UV. Super excited.
I guess maybe final comments would be, looking at Ethereum and looking at other projects that have managed to achieve sustainable tokenomics effectively. the more Lindy you are, the longer you've been in the market. And keep in mind, we have a bunch of people hustling nonstop to help make Oath successful. The more time we have, the better. So by stretching these, incentives as far as humanly possible, that just gives us more and more time to make that Oath denominated number more valuable as far as the market is concerned. And thus, hopefully as Oath matures, as chapters roll out, as there's more interest and impact in the market, we'll be able to kind of naturally build our incentive strategy out that way. And the more sustainability we can get now, and I think speaking to some of Cat Dad's comments, Ramsey's is, for example, a team that is willing to work with us all over the place and go hard with us all over the place. And, if we can, and of course we're working with Thina and Retro and other parties as well. But if we can really be successful, then that kind of beta will spill over into our partners and have kind of a separate flywheel effect. So that's kind of where our commitment comes from. And, we're building in such a way that if we ever need to pivot or if we ever need to change up our strategy, we can, because all we're doing is we're sitting down every week and doing it the hard way, which means we have kind of granular control over where we move directionally in terms of incentives, in terms of where we are. And you all have experienced that a little bit to your annoyance, seeing us kind of move quite a bit to optimize our positioning. And right now we're trying to keep in mind, hey, not everybody is as in tune with the market as we are, and we're trying to not move around as quickly. But just keep in mind, we're trying to be very cognizant of how we spend the Oath token and where it's taking us.
Here's some numbers, people. So this is Q4. There is a slight asterisk, however you say that. The stability pool numbers include January. The reason is because we made a very large buyback in January from the Ethos collateral. So the yield generating from the Ethos collateral. So I wanted to include that because it was accumulation of like a pretty good amount of time of the collateral being generating yield. So the yield was generated in Q4, bought back this month, and so the stability pool, those numbers are from January. So those are the numbers. Tax incentives, you get the VE NFT activity reflected in the in column. And if we take the total number, the bottom right, that net number. So I know this is a bit of napkin math, but if you take that just over 3 million, in relation to our total supply, which is 400 million, and you expand that, if you just take that over the course of a year, that's a 3% per year inflation. So that definitely used to be higher when we were, at the beginning of the year, and it's slowly going down. It's going to continue to go down. And something that's going to help with that is what I'm going to talk about next, which is O tokens. But that's about 3% of year if you extend that over a year. 3% inflation for Q4. So yeah, those are the numbers. Again, I'm going to be posting this in the recording so you guys can take a closer look and in an article. Let me know if you have any questions. Anything to add there? No. To the next one. Okay, Oath. This is extremely exciting. This is going to supercharge our revenue for Oath, and for like the way it aligns how much we emit and be oath holders is really, really awesome. Because the more oath you emit, it's going to translate to revenue. So into where we want to really incentivize certain behavior or a certain pool, if we want to increase our emissions for some short amount of time, be oath holders are going to be positively affected by that, which is a really, really cool point of alignment. Okay, so the initial implementation is just going to be redemptions, and I believe that implementation is that correct? Either now or soon. Hello.
My internet's cutting out a little bit. If you're asking if
Okay.
it's being audited,
It's in audio. It's
yes,
in audit
and it
now.
might be done as well. I think
awesome.
we're waiting on the follow-up review.
Correct.
Fantastic.
So
All
it's
right.
come back
My
from
slides
audit,
are
and
right.
we've made the changes.
Let's go. It's even further along. So the initial implementation is just going to be redemptions. So you get a certain amount of oath as rewards, and that gives you the right to buy oath at a 50% discount. Shortly after that, we're going to be rolling out a B-oath conversion, so you can convert your oath to B-oath. And then following that, due to popular demand, we'll be working out a zero cost option. And you guys should be. Is my audio
You're good.
bad?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So a zero cost option, we're going to be figuring that one out. You guys should be in the forums. If you want to follow these discussions, you can look at my proposal on the OAuth implementation and Yui's proposal, and there's a lot of discussion going on there. So feel free to jump in and voice your concerns. It's not too late for B-Oath and zero cost. Okay, so this is a quick example that I've put together. And you can see the assumptions on the bottom right. But I just wanted to highlight some theoretical example of OAuth in action and the amount of premiums that it generates for B-Oath. So the current B-Oath revenue, so this is basically I took the total and divided by the amount of weeks that it has been alive. So the weekly revenue averages out at about 3,400 for B-Oath. Now with OAuth, if you see the assumptions, let's say that we emit 300,000 OAuth at a price of 3.5 cents. You can see the increase in B-Oath revenue on the last column there, and it's really nice to look at. And the treasury revenue as well, 20% the option revenue is going to the treasury. So I just wanted to highlight a theoretical example because I think people are sleeping on what a powerful tool this is for more revenue generation. And so that's the example sort of written out there. And so obviously that assumes, so that's the initial implementation, that assumes that everybody redeems. So you can see future B-Oath bonding and transmute options or zero cost options may reduce revenue in favor of deeper liquidity. So obviously some people are going to their OAuth into B-Oath. Some people are going to opt for the zero cost option. It's not all going to be redemptions. But the way that we're going to design them is no matter what option they choose, it's going to benefit the protocol somehow. And the redemptions and the B-Oath bonding are the two options that we want to drive people towards. So the zero cost will be available, but it's not going to be as attractive as bonding or straight redeeming. And both of those options are going to be extremely beneficial to us as the long-term community, B-Oath holders, and as governors of the protocols. So yeah, pretty exciting. Does anyone have anything to add on that? Sorry if my audio cut out at all there.
Yeah, sure. I think maybe adding, describing a little bit of the vision based on all these slides is kind of a world where oath is either net negative or very close in terms of inflation, and that all of the inflation at that point, or most of the inflation, is in oath, such that if you are in bonded oath and you're a governor and you're helping to make decisions, and let's say this is phase 2 or phase 3 of our governance rollout, we decide, hey, we're going to allocate this amount of oath for this new initiative or this new effort as a bonded oath staker, and you'll be making these decisions through governance for the most part. That as that oath is exercised or sold, on the other end of that, your liquidity provision and your governance will kind of be paid out. So the goal is to align incentives to a degree that governors always have incentive to spend oath on the things that they think will generate some kind of positive momentum in the ecosystem. And that could be something like a treasury swap wherein we want to trade oath for a VE NFT or similar, or it could be just the getting is hot over here, let's emit some extra oath. And eventually, as things get more and more automated through governance, that will become the norm that we all can expect. So, goal at the moment is to make Oath kind of a product of the power of Oath governance as well as the power of the Oath product suite. And talking about revenue, that we can use to really boost bonded Oath. You'll be seeing a governance proposal pretty soon, seeking to migrate the vaults on Ethos from the really simplified lend only to the Reaper leveraged vaults, which have gone through months and months and months of battle testing preparing for this moment. And what we're going to see is a really significant growth in the amount of value we're able to produce, and all of that being driven toward bonded oath and oath buybacks and things like that. So the goal here is to get maximum decentralized and align incentives maximally, such that we can have kind of an Ethereum-like ecosystem where efforts by the foundation are very productive, and you can think of every chapter like an app that's being built on Ethereum. And as we kind of lay out this fabric and lay out this framework for success, it's really just a matter of figuring out where we want to go and how we want to get there. And yeah, I think the future is extremely bright. And maybe as the final cap off, I know I said this was going to be short, but huge props to UV, to Samson, to AS, to Charles, for the effort that they put in every week managing these incentives and improving the Oath tokenomics, because that is something that I handed off to them a year ago because I was like, bruh, I don't have time to do this. And ever since then, they've just totally it's just been up and to the right nonstop. So props to them and all the other signers who ape into our huge multi-sigs every time there's an epoch turnover.
Yeah, thanks. Really, really good point about governance and a super good segue into the next section. But yeah, it's like let's get decentralized. I think that should be a song. But we're gonna keep getting more decentralized. Yeah, AS. Welcome to the discussion.
Thanks for the segue. Yeah, I just wanted to put together some stats for you guys on what we've seen from governance so far. It's been a pretty busy few months, honestly, with the establishment of Oath chapters and the marketing budget and Ethos coming out, different collateral types for Ethos. I mean, so far we've had 11 actual votes in governance, 16 total proposals, 116 people commenting on the forums, which I think is only going to grow from here. But it's been awesome seeing, all the activity so far. 40,000 page views just from the
Crazy.
forum itself, which is insane. And then our highest vote turnout was actually our most recent, currently live vote to add staked Frax ETH. 24 million votes so far have voted. So
That is insane, dude.
I think for context, that's over what 16 to 17% of our supply in one vote.
And if you count Oath that isn't in POL or isn't owned by the foundation, like that is enormous. And keep in mind, like myself and some other of the really big holders who don't want to, control governance, aren't voting. Like I don't vote because I just have so much Oath, and I don't think it's fair. So this is like Aave is lucky to get 2% to 3% participation, and we're clearing like 20%. It's just bravo to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, in a ideal world, when I was first like thinking about governance, we were hoping to get 5%. So I mean, what insane metrics, right? So yeah, I mean that's been really cool to see. The current growth, but I'm really excited about what we have like currently coming up. I'll pass it over to Charles real quick to talk about some of the upcoming proposals that we've got headed to the forums for you guys before I take it back over.
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh my God, such insane stats. It's so crazy, and it's such a good sign. Like it's such it reflects how I feel about the community, which is like super tight. So many like dedicated people in the community, and I love you all, and it reflects in the forum numbers. So hell yeah, Rich. Um, okay, yeah. So JB touched on this a little bit, but the multi-strat vaults for Ethos collateral, there's still some work to be done, but this is something that we're working on proposing, and this is like this is a pretty very big step, in my opinion, because like the Ethos vaults being supply side only, it's very very low risk, and I think like the gains from moving to multi-strat, which have historically have been extremely well performant, the gains from moving to those are like greatly outweigh the additional risk, any additional risk that there is there, and this relates to the tokenomics that I was talking about before, where like stability pool, or like the yield generated by the collateral is going to be able to buy back so much more oath, and so like stability pool spend can pretty quickly get in the negative, or at least get where we're generating a lot more yield and just buying back more and more oath.
Before
Yeah,
can I
Samson,
add
if you
on,
want to jump in.
yeah. The other thing that has not occurred yet is the addition of the yearn strategies. So this change of using the multi-strategy looping vaults, which are so very performant, frankly, uh, is going to introduce an enormous stimulation to the protocol. And there's one other like link, and that is like an upgrade to bonded oath once the digit relic is live. And maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Justin, but the idea of shifting the buyback like function to instead a distribution through bonded oath. So all of that collateral, instead of us just market buying oath, we'll just distribute the ETH and the Bitcoin to bonded oath stakers. And this would be another source of yield, which would hopefully drive more BOth appreciation, and then stimulate greater rewards for the stability pool, which is just oath, that that we're currently emitting. So, have I got that right? I hope I'm not miscommunicating.
That's correct. And I mean, pending governance, like we don't have to do it. It's something that will go through the forums. But yes, we can distribute those the yield earned from collateral in its underlying form back to BOT stakers, and then those with a digit and an auto compounding vault that'll take care of the oath buyback function inherently, because it'll be buying back oath to LP on behalf of BOT stakers.
Cool.
OETH LSD.
OETH LSD
yeah.
is basically just the multi-strat vault.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, I was gonna
that's
say.
basically what it is. We just don't stake it.
Yeah. Yeah. Samson, you sort of spearheaded these next two. Do you want to talk about those? I don't want to steal your thunder.
Sure. I'll cover the.
Okay.
Maybe I'll.
You don't have to.
So yeah, this was Erzengel, huge thank you from all of us for the graphics that you've designed about ERN. That was such an awesome gift to everyone. And it really sort of made me think that, we need a better framework as a community to actually incentivize or like reward that sort of participation. So I wanted to propose two separate initiatives that I think should happen in tandem. And now that we have a 3% inflation rate, I don't feel bad about requesting like this amount of oath to disperse. But I wanted to create a framework where we could have maybe creators attracted to the oath ecosystem to participate and actually share their talents with us and try and socialize and create a culture where creativity is rewarded in our community, and people that want to apply themselves and contribute can, and feel like it's actually worth their time. So the community marketing initiative or it's like some sort of community engagement proposal is the first one. It basically creates a distribution framework where a committee can disperse, I think, in a fair and equitable way, but without adding too much complexity, some oath incentives to creators to contribute their talents. And as Engel, obviously, your contributions would be caught up in this. And then the second proposal is actually a galaxy contest. So this would be trying to attract, a lot of new eyes to, especially Digit. Digit is a product that obviously has a lot of exciting features that maybe appeal to like savers, for example. So by educating people to the benefits of Digit through a Galaxy contest and by getting them to try the product, we're hoping to see some growth, and we could target the ERN relic, for example, forcing them to learn about ERN if we wish. So I won't go into the details anymore, but I'll be posting or maybe Charles will be posting the community engagement proposal today, and we can start to canvass feedback, and then we'll post the second one tomorrow, just so that everyone can sort of digest them. Although I do think they can operate in tandem. Does anyone else want to add any comments?
Boom. That's my comment. Boom. Here we go.
Hell yeah. I actually wanted to say something slightly embarrassing, is that I did not realize that it was it's so obvious, but it's supposed to be pronounced Galaxy, and I've literally been saying Galx my entire career. Um,
That's
and I'm
awesome.
extremely embarrassed. But I don't even know why I shared, because that's anyways. Thanks, Samson, for correcting that.
Here, I'll take over the
Galx
next slide.
contest, guys. Yeah, hell yeah.
If you don't mind, I'll take over the next one. Galaxy, here we go. Just a little housekeeping from the governance side of things. If you go to the next slide, UV. If we look at the quorum for what the minimum implementation threshold is actually supposed to be, it's supposed to be 5% of our circulating supply per the oath governance specification. Well, initially we set the voting quorum at 5 million just to kick things off, and we never updated it. So this is I'm sorry guys, I'm fixing it, call that we're going to fix the minimum implementation threshold for proposals going forward to be actually 5% of the current circulating supply. So that's my bad, but here we go. We're going to fix it. up to this date, we really haven't seen an issue with meeting quorum, so I don't expect this to be a big deal. But I just wanted to put it out there that if anyone was reading the spec, this is what it's supposed to be. So here we go, update number 1. Okay, yeah, I mean that kind of wraps up most of the governance housekeeping on my end, unless anyone had anything else. I just wanted to put out an open call for proposals. We've seen a lot of really good proposals coming through. Really excited about some of the ones that are currently on there. Mace Papa's got one for his Ethos redemption bot, which I think would be really, really exciting to see go live. But please, if you have ideas or integrations you want to see with the Oath ecosystem, please put them on the forums. Let's discuss. Let's figure out how we can make things happen. We're going to be preparing, if we go to the next slide, for phase 2 in the next few months. And I think with phase 2, we're going to be giving a lot of the governance power over to you guys, whoever gets elected in the community election, right, to be delegates for the Oath ecosystem. So please get active, and if you have ideas, please share them so we can identify them, discuss them, and maybe vote on them, right? So I kind of led myself into this, but I guess about governance phase 2. So far, it's been working really well. I think we've gotten to a point where things kind of run smoothly, but we definitely got some areas where we could improve. We kind of did a GPRC internal review, I guess you would say. And while things are working well, I don't think we've documented our processes as well as we probably could have. So we're going to be spending the next 3 to 6 months really formalizing our governance process on the GPRC side of things, and really working toward moving toward phase 2. So where we have 7 community delegates who are elected to the GPRC. I think that's really exciting that we're moving toward giving Oath governors more of an active role in the Oath governance ecosystem. So I think it'll be really exciting to see that go live. That was kind of just back in the day an idea, but here we are moving towards it and actively working towards making it a reality. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that that's coming in the next 6 months. So if you're interested in becoming a community delegate and putting your name forward to be in the community election, please get active on the forums. Please make your interest known to any of the GPRC members, and we will help you go through the process and become a formal Oath Governor GPRC candidate. So yeah, I get that kind of wraps up my spiel.
Yeah, I'd like to add some thoughts. The current situation is, we have a review committee that is here to just sort of ensure that the proposals are meaningful and realistic. But for phase 2 to be, a possibility, we need to have our system in a way that everyone can participate, and the playbook is, well thought out, and practical, and also secure. So that's kind of where we're at right now, is what AS is communicating, is that we're in the middle of really figuring out the okay, how can we ensure there's enough oversight between different groups of interests, between oath holders, and ensure that development is I guess just all realistic. So this discussion is going to be happening on the forum. Come and help guide us. We'd like to hear your thoughts. There's many other governance systems. It's not like we're the first group of people in the world trying to do this. So there's lots of inspiration we can draw from. But we want to hear, I'm interested in all feedback and all opinions. And we're here to try and create something that's meaningful and going to outlast us, frankly.
Yeah, I think one of our most important kind of thought processes is, anytime we kind of do something, we want to push the envelope. We want to see how we can do it a little bit better. And, we see a lot of governance that is purely plutocratic. A lot of your ETH DeFi protocols, and things aren't done efficiently because the person with the most money invested oftentimes is working on a lot of other things, and they're maybe not as active or interested or involved as someone who may not have as much capital as they do, but is, interested in kind of the open source nature of the project, and how it grows and develops. And we also see, purely democratic versions or variants, like optimism, where there is sometimes kind of a misallocation of funds. If you've been following Retro PGF, and they're really trying to define a two-party system or a really kind of democratic system. And overall, I think what we want to do is we want to make sure that every proposal that goes to vote not only has high impact, but has been looked at by everybody that it impacts, and kind of forcing it through this admittedly centralized process, we can avoid a lot of the pitfalls that we've seen historically, where maybe some things get pushed through governance that weren't even read, or nobody quite cared about, and we see this happening every month. So I hope you can help us find this balance, and I really, really, really encourage you to participate on forum.oath.eco. And the benefit to getting more high quality proposals up is really significant on the business front, on the compliance front, on every front, really. So I encourage you as well. If you think of something cool, you don't need to take it from A to Z. All you need to do is talk to a member of the GPRC committee, and they will help you. Governance a lot of times is someone expressing interest and the process kind of being taken care of by a more experienced governor. So don't let inexperience or don't let anything like that kind of impede you. And definitely, if you think you have good ideas, don't be afraid to throw them on the forum. Sometimes it can be a little bit stressful, but getting your name out there, especially as the Oath ecosystem grows, the opportunity is going to grow exponentially with it. So, please participate in governance. It's the highest impact thing you can do, no matter who you are.
100% agree. I mean, I think if you check over at forum.oath.eco, everyone's very helpful. I mean, they ask very thoughtful questions, but we really haven't seen negative sentiment over there. It's been very collaborative, and it's been great to be a part of, honestly. So,
Yeah.
compared to some of the other governance forums that are out there, I think we're kind of setting the standard for what true active and collaborative governance looks like.
Totally.
Short note, I just want to say thank you, everyone. I know it's been said, but thank you for participating. Yeah, thank you to all the active governors. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
I dig it.
No.
Dig it.
Dig it. Can we get some diggits in the chat?
You don't dig it, Justin?
No, I dig it. I'm just a hater. I do
right.
dig it.
All right. What about
Are we,
dig it?
are we just looking at dig it? Or you want me to say something?
It's a very small slide. But there is something here that relates to what Samson was presenting earlier, which is the Galaxy proposal. And that is going to be focused around Digit, because Digit is so awesome, and as we start to add more positions and like develop more stuff that we can slap on onto Digit as a front end, more cool underlying positions, I would really like. I would be extremely shocked if it doesn't pop off. But what we need to do that is some marketing and to get exposure, because like the yields are so awesome, and it's so easy to use. Shout out Munchies for building Digit. But like, yeah, I've said this very sloppily, but I basically just want to say Digit and friends, because every time someone new, they come back with feedback going, It's super fun to use, so smooth. And like the underlying yield and the maturity adjusted rewards go super hard. So I would like to see a lot more people using Digit because it deserves it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe giving some perspective on that. Um, Digit is it's kind of been the redheaded stepchild of the ecosystem for a long time. You know, Reliquary before Digit, simply because our aspirations in terms of tokenomics and infrastructure and tech are enormous. So now that we've finally chewed through some of the big to-dos on the Reaper end and then the Ethos end, Digit is finally kind of about to have its time in the sun. And what that means is, not only will we see a ton of really innovative new features, not only will we see a lot of iteration on the UI UX, but we'll see some of the most competitive positions in the entire industry there. And that's what's really exciting about Digit is, if we do our jobs right as incentivizers and creators of these kind of yield products, then being in Digit will inherently make it harder to dilute your position, and it will inherently make your position more competitive when you're at the top of the curve. So ideally, what we'll see is kind of like a floating liquid bond that tracks, market rate and then comes in slightly above it. I saw my internet flashing during that, so hopefully I didn't cut out too much. But expect, especially once all of the infrastructure that's under audit right now, expect a lot of the engineering focus to move to Digit. And even right now, like the stuff that is built into Digit on frickin' Munchie's computer is mind-boggling. And we're like the digit we see and the digit you see are like years apart. And it's just really a matter of getting everything nice and secure and rallying the team behind it. And hopefully, Ethos Reserve can kind of be more reserved for the power user, and Digit, just in one click, any user can engage with ecosystem yield products, super easily with as much feedback and data as they need. And maybe even governance will land there eventually, but I don't want to promise anything that's so far out.
There's one other note on this slide that no one's covered yet, which is just the new positions that are coming. So the reason why Bonded Oath hasn't been a thing is because Ethos v2.1 was a thing. And so now with Ethos v2.1 out, we can look at sort of tying the bow. I think the story of Oath is, unfortunately, many of us came together due to convenience. Reaper Farm was just such an amazing way to set and forget. And I find that the more convenient we can make things, the easier it is to dilute, and we need to reconnect the threads between our ecosystem. Digit Bonded Oath is an obvious next step, and we're looking forward to bringing that. Plus, we're also creating a bit of a partnership with Itchy, users of Thena or users of Ramses or Retro or may be familiar with this name already. It's basically an active liquidity manager, or an ALM. And so you can deposit assets into their contracts and they'll manage the concentrated liquidity for you. This is sort of like, imagine a Reaper, but instead of it working on the old school Uniswap, or Spooky Swap style pools, it works now in these Uniswap v3 tick ranges. It's kind of like a similar service. But they have this technology which will allow us to actually create a really robust earn peg by having counter asset vaults. So we'll accept USDC. My pitch is that we should spin up a vault for every type of collateral that we have. So, staked Frax ETH, for example, wrapped staked ETH, Bitcoin, these, and then USDC as well. Not that that's a collateral type, but just as a function of having a stability or like a stable pool. And all of this will exist in Uniswap v3 on Optimism. We're looking forward to seeing the new Velodrome technology on Optimism. speaking frankly, like Optimism's decentralized exchange technology leaves a bit to be desired. We see a lot of innovation elsewhere that leaves us feeling a little unloved at times, but progress is being made, and Itchy is deploying just on Optimism for us. And the idea will be that we can incentivize through Digit these single asset vaults, which will then trade earn for us and help keep it at the $1 value, basically. So it's a really, really awesome new development, and it should help diversify our risk and diversify the active liquidity management opportunities for USDC earn on Optimism. We really like Uniswap. I think it's like a really important place to be. A lot of people just go there still, and it's plugged into everything. So having good liquidity on there is a no-brainer. But I think that's everything on those new positions. I'll pass the mic back over.
Thank you, Samson. Good points. Very good points. So I think the next slide is something. I think it's a thank you. Yeah, once again, thank you, everyone. And I do want to address some of the questions that were posted in the Town Hall questions thread, just to make sure that I don't skirt my responsibilities there. But I also wanted to highlight Urzengel's comments. Urzengel, you're a beast at feedback, always with really good ideas. But highlighting those comments and just making it known that those are seen and will be passed along to everybody. Yeah, okay. Flawless Noob was the first one in the questions thread, and I hope that this town hall has answered most of what you asked. I'm not sure if Flawless Noob is here, but the second part of your question about long-term perspective, Noob asked, is Oath going to be around for the long term? Is the Oath Foundation, do we have long-term goals in mind? Are we going to be around for the next decade? That is about the easiest question I've ever heard. It's a resounding yes. We have super long-term goals and very, very long-term vision in mind. And I hope that is reflected in the work that everybody does. But to answer your question, it's an extremely I don't know, it's very, everybody is so dedicated, and it's amazing, and we're here for the long term. They had a question about Aurelius. Aurelius, I think that was covered at the beginning. Yeah, and I can't really tell you whether to buy Oath or not. So you're gonna have to come to that conclusion on your own. Sorry. Okay, Empo had a question. Now maybe someone wants to speak to this a little bit, but the current UI and UX, the unifying protocols proposal that was on the forum for a while, and sort of where we stand there, and I don't know, I guess just questions about kind of consolidating some of the protocols or not.
Yeah, totally. I have about 5 minutes left, and I have another meeting. But long story short, how we see the DeFi market as it stands is that it's in somewhat of an MVP state. It's 3 years old. The infrastructure is just okay. The tool chain is just okay. Getting better. And all of these protocols, and it's kind of the impetus behind chapters. It's the impetus behind, doing things a little bit separately. All the stuff that we're doing now will eventually be packaged up into a super app or into even like a hedge fund or similar, wherein, people can access our products through a means that isn't like going on this weird front end. And as much as I love the Ethos front end, I understand that for a total like non-crypto fluent person, like navigating these complex financial instruments is going to be a huge challenge. And it's kind of the reason that, even though it is a really difficult path, it's the reason we kind of are interested in courting institutions and courting kind of professional asset managers as opposed to just going after the immediately obtainable market. Because kind of to Charles' point, we want to be here a decade from now. We want to be here 2 decades from now. We want our software to always be relevant. It's the reason we re-engineer things because they aren't sustainable enough to meet our time horizon needs. So yeah, I mean, it's also the reason we built Moon, for example. We built Moon to create a really cohesive experience where people don't need to care what blockchain network they're on or what app they're interacting with. So ideally, with chapters, we can have the best, most sustainable, stable asset yield on 6, 7, 8 different chains. And, down the line when we're onboarding people, from their bank account or card or whatever, it's really just a matter of them depositing their dollars into the system and our technology putting that where it needs to go within the ecosystem to give them the best outcome. So yeah, I mean, we're very close to achieving this technologically, and then it's really just a matter of piecing everything together. And if you've seen some of the Moon demonstrations, I know I only share them in the alpha chat, so I'll try to share more. Once Munchies is ready to sit down with me and record a session. But the goal is to just make Oath. I mean, users don't even need to care what Oath is, I guess, but just make it such a fabulous experience. And we have all the cloud services, we have all the DeFi tech, we have everything in our repertoire that we need. And it's just, not only are we going to grow outward and get other people using our services, but it's nice when you can just talk to the creators of like a suite of cloud services and a suite of UX tooling and just ask them to make something for you. And that's the nice thing about Moon. So we can, design creation or design solutions that really fit our needs and the needs of users that we see and talk to every day. And we hear the frustrations in dealing with DeFi UX. We hear the security concerns, and we're just fighting all these fires. And I can say I'm confident in our ability to put them out and to deliver really next gen experiences continuously. So just be excited about us continuing to accelerate our development in that direction.
Thanks, JB. I know you got to go, so do what you must.
Virtual reality of app.
Right.
Good idea.
If you want to come to this meeting with me, Samson, I'm going to DM you a link. But bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. For
there's one more. Sorry. Yeah, there's one more thing. Empo asking about financial reporting. I'll just say yes. I'm sorry. It's taken a while, but I am always trying to improve community facing numbers and emission schedules and all that jazz. To answer your question, yes. Oh man, damn! Something I wanted to say, and maybe I'll add this to the recording. And hello, everybody still listening live. I want to bring back. So, if anyone is familiar with Granary office hours, here's a bit of alpha. I would like to do this for Oath, and we've started planning for those. And just like more community events, more frequent, shorter community events are very much needed. So like Oath Happy Hour is getting a revival, and we can just sit down every couple weeks and just like just chat about something in the ecosystem. We can have a gaming channel. We could have a Beebus 24-hour live stream. I hope my internet's still working. But...
Oh yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay, nice. But yeah, Oath Happy Hour making a revival in the form of sort of office hours styles. It's going to be awesome. And we can just go through a bunch of topics. We can do like tutorials and stuff like that. So yeah, I know the community is kind of screaming for more things of this nature.
We will address the market need soon.
Yeesh.